US representative ਦੀ ਮੋਹਰ ਉਹਦੇ ਦਫ਼ਤਰ ਤੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਲੱਗੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ। ਇਹ ਲਮੋਕੀ ਖਤਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵਾਰ-ਵਾਰ ਹਰ ਸਾਲ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਹਰ ਸਾਲ ਖਤਾ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਭਾਵੇਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁਣ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਫੂਲਕਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਾ ਇੱਕੋ ਮੌਕਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਸ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਮੈਂ ਤੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਵਾਈਫ ਅਸੀਂ 3 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਟਾਈਮ ਆਫ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵੀ ਹੋਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਅੱਗੇ ਮੁੜਿਆ ਆਵੇ, ਸਿਆਣਾ ਪਿਆਣਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਜਿਹਨੇ ਕੌਮੀ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੋਇਆ। 13,000 ਵੋਟਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਰਹਿ ਗਏ। ਹੁਣ ਨਾਨ ਪ੍ਰੋਫਿਟ ਤੇ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਰਾਈਟਸ ਦਾਇਰੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਚਿਰ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ, ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਪਿਛਲੇ 2 ਡੈਕੇਡਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਦ ਤੱਕ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਸਟਰੈਂਥ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਕੰਮ ਬੜਾ ਔਖਾ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਹਾਰਡ ਫਰੰਟ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਰੰਜਿਸ਼ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਜ਼ਾਹਿਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਦਿਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਰੰਜਿਸ਼ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਬਸ ਇੰਨੇ ਨਾ ਹੁਣ ਕਦੋਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਅਗਲਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਆਏਗਾ, ਸਾਡਾ ਅਗਲਾ ਭਰਾ ਆਏਗਾ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਹਾਲਵੇਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਪਾਵਰ ਮਿਲੇਗੀ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਵੌਇਸ ਮਿਲੇਗੀ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਵੌਇਸ ਮੈਂ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਉਹ ਦੱਸਦਾ ਹਾਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਇਨਸਾਫ ਲਈ ਵੌਇਸ ਹੈ, ਉਹਦੇ ਬਿਯੋਂਡ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੀਜ਼ ਮੰਗ ਰਹੇ। ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਇਨਸਾਫ, ਪੂਰਾ ਕੌਮਾਂ ਲਈ ਇਨਸਾਫ, every religion, every nation. ਹੁਣ ਜੇ one thing I did like what you said, Peter, both of your speeches were fantastic, sir, is remembrance is worthless if there is no action. And what we ought to as a community is get membership in the Unrepresented Nations and Peoples Organization. We're not on that list. There have been countries or nations or people on that list that have actually gotten independence. Latvia is one example. Interestingly, I'll read a few current members. You've got Balochistan that you're familiar with, Chittagong Hills that you're familiar with, East Turkestan, Guam, and Iranian Kurdistan, and just a little humor. So is Washington DC in that list. So it is an interesting list. It's a diverse list, but it is also a place where we ought to start thinking if we need to add Azad Punjab or Khalistan, whichever you may think of. एक और चीज ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਈ ਵਾਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਕਰੀਏ, ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ ਪਰ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਨਾ ਕੌਮ ਦੀ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ, ਪੰਥੀ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ, you need to have a strong lobbying group, a functioning lobbying group. ਇਸ ਲਈ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਇੱਕ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਵੀ 4 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਫਗਾਨਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਅਤਿਆਚਾਰ ਹੋਇਆ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਅਟੈਕ ਹੋਇਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੇਨ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਅਰਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 4 ਜੀ ਮਾਰੇ ਗਏ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੁਣ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਅਸਾਈਨਮੈਂਟ ਮਿਲੀ ਹੈ। ਬਟ 4 ਸਾਲ ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਆਲਮੋਸਟ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਰਾਜਦੀਪ ਜੌਲੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੋਲੀਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਦੀਪਕ ਆਲੂਵਾਲੇ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਰਾਈਟਸ ਅਟਾਰਨੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੱਬ ਕੇ ਕੰਮ ਕੀਤਾ, ਬਟ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ ਫਿਰ ਅਹਿਸਾਸ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਅਨਲਾਈਕ ਇਨ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਔਰ UK ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇੱਥੇ ਵੌਇਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ। ਸੋ ਜੇ ਭੱਲੇ ਵਰਗੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਰਾਈਟ ਅਵੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ, ਸੋ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਿੰਨਤਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਪੈਂਦੀਆਂ। ਸੋ ਇਹ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਹਾਲੇ ਫਰੈਸ਼ ਹੈ, the only thing that's offsetting is what's happening in Punjab. There's some hope, some faith over there. But I will end my talk with just one personal story that I encountered. As we were doing our work in Punjab, in India, and we were heading to the airport in New Delhi, about at 10 p.m., we were walking out of the restaurant, heading towards the airport, and a little kid with a patka came, and he had hair coming out of his patka, and he was selling keychains. So when he was selling keychains, I said, hey, it's 10 o'clock and it's school night. Why aren't you in school? Why are you selling keychains? And he looked at me as, who are you and why do you care? And it's none of your business, kind of. And I told my wife, I'm like, Heart, let's give him 100 rupees. And I took 100 rupees, I'm like, here you go, man, and go home. And he looked at me, this random kid, a moment that I'll never forget in my life, and he told me, sir, main bheek nahi mangta.
Wow.
He said, I do not beg. He's tired, he might not know his history, He might not have money in his pocket. His family situation might be hard. It doesn't matter. But the dignity of a random Sikh kid who put me back in my place, that I might be in a tough spot, but I still have my dignity, and you cannot take that away. So no matter what spot we go through, don't let them take your dignity away. Don't let them take your voice away. Don't let them take your identity away. Why did you go?
I would like to mention a special name who's among us. She's here as an observer. She's a Senate Judiciary Committee law clerk working with Senator Whitehouse from Rhode Island. And she took the time to be here and see what the Sikh community was doing. Let's give her a round of applause. Amrit Kaur Maan. Thank you, sister, for caring about your community, for taking the time out and being here among us. Kudos to you, Manmeet Buddy. Someone from the audience came to me and said, let him talk about the Widow Colony, the movie about the widows of New Delhi. And I had to let them know that this is the man who made the movie. So, whereas it's a solemn subject, but it's also very courageous to do something for the community, to let those victims know that you're not forgotten. Thank you. Thank you, Buddy Manmeet. Thank you. Our next speaker is a well-known media personality from the DMV region. He is one of the pioneers of the Sikh community, somebody who came to the U.S. at a young age, somebody who went through the schooling system here, somebody who has suffered quite a bit at the hands of the Indian government. Help me welcome Agapal Singh Bhatt, aka Paul Beck.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's been quite a long time, so I'll make it short. I was not planning on sharing any thoughts, but the moment you sit here, you listen to these people talk about the suffering our community has gone through, just reminded me of an event that I wanted to share with you, because I am, as they say, I heard it, I faced it, and I'm a witness to it. So most of you know I did serve prison for 12 years. So I was at the end of my term at Naba when a friend of mine, a police officer, was sentenced, and he had to be at the receiving end. And this man, I hate to admit it, had committed a lot of atrocities during the militancy. But for once, as the Almighty always has his way of justice, he was at the receiving end. So I decided to pay him a visit. We're sitting in one of the officer's office having a cup of tea, and I said, I will mention the name. I said, brother, let's be fair and honest today. Give me the percentage of innocent people that are behind bars now that you are one of them. And ladies and gentlemen, he said, "Ke main Guru di kasam kha ke, that God be my witness, at least 60% of the inmates are innocent." Now talk about, if there are 2,500 inmates at that time, 60% is a lot of people in just one prison in that whole state. And this is during the good times, compared to the militancy, the 84 that we talk about. The stories that we've heard, the incidents that we have faced, the torture that I have gone through, the 30-degree temperature. For 42 days, my whereabouts were not known. And on the 43rd day, when they brought me out wherever I was, one of my colleagues that worked for me in my factory could not recognize me. He said he recognized me by the shoes that I was wearing. This is how I appeared after 42 days. I was taken to Upper Top for an encounter. Well, I survived, as luck would have it. Maybe to share that with you today. I've never shared it, because that's one chapter that I thought I'd close it forever. But now, I think the time is right that I should talk about it. I do plan on making a web series about it one day. Share a lot that has not been known to the public. For some reason, you become part of friends of these people because you're in the same boat. The journey is more important, the survival is more important, and then they open up and they share the stories. And if I share with you the methods that they use to torture these people, I don't think any one of you can sleep tonight. So I'll simply say this. For once, as Manmeet Padi said, that we really need to consider and pay our full energy focus on electing people so we have a voice in this house. Second, the people of Punjab have spoken, ladies and gentlemen, in this election. They've elected two people that we know. The leadership is about to change. There's a change that's coming. The results have shown that people want independence. They want their own home. And we, being in a free country, can play a major role. It's so sad to see that, as Father said, that you should be proud if you saw your hair, but I wish the numbers were much larger. Let's work on it. Let's educate people. And as a friend of mine, the last one I want to share is, when you compromise on something, a small thing, the end result is much larger than. But if you speak at that time and let the other person know, people, that they're wrong, I think you played your role and you have done what you should do, is stand for right and justice. Thank you very much, Bob. Thank you. Congratulations for arranging this. And hopefully something good will come out of it. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Uncle Bob, for sharing your story. Now we will be shifting gears. I would like you guys to take a good look at this presentation. And if you have any questions, if you want to share anything, go ahead and take this moment and share that with Dr. Chima, who's among us. We're very fortunate that we have Sevadar servants of the Panth who are willing to do this for no personal interest, just to pay homage to those who gave their lives for the righteous reason, and also those who were just mere victims. Thank you, each and every one of you. We will be getting to our next set of speakers once we have taken a moment, and once you have taken snacks, we do have some refreshments available as well. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. This is a traveling exhibition. If we have anyone available or anyone interested who would like to have this presentation, have this exhibition take place in their town, at their place of worship, at any sports club, anywhere, please contact him. He will be here at least until 3 o'clock to answer any of the questions that you have. Feel free to mingle with Dr. Chima. Thank you.
Today, June 6th, 2024, 40 years ago, the might of the Indian Army was used to crush the spirit of the Sikhs. Hindustan ਦੀ ਫੌਜ ਦਾ 1 ਲੱਖ ਪਰਸਨਲ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦਾਖਲ ਹੋਇਆ। ਪੰਜਾਬ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਰੇ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਤੋਂ ਕੱਟ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਪਿੰਡਾਂ ਸ਼ਹਿਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਧਰਮ ਸਥਾਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਿਉਂਤਬੰਦ ਢੰਗ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਨ ਅ ਵੈਰੀ ਸਿਸਟਮੈਟਿਕ ਵੇ ਅਟੈਕ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ। ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਜੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਤਸਵੀਰਾਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਉਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੇ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ 1984 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਤੇ ਕਹਿਰ ਵਾਪਰਿਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸਾਡੀ ਸਮੂਹਿਕ ਜੋ ਸੋਚ ਹੈ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਜ਼ਾ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰਦਰਸ਼ਨੀ ਦੇ ਰੂਪ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ। ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ US ਕੈਪੀਟਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰਦਰਸ਼ਨੀ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਤੇ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਦੇ ਨੁਮਾਇੰਦਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਇਕੱਠ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਾਈ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਪ੍ਰਦਰਸ਼ਨੀ ਨੂੰ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਨੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਹੋਰ ਕੌਮਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਸ ਦਰਿੰਦਗੀ ਦਾ ਜੋ ਨੰਗਾ ਨਾਚ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਧਰਤੀ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਤੋਂ 40 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਜੋ ਉੱਥੇ ਪਾਪ ਕਮਾਇਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਗਤ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਨੰਗਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। So what we have tried to accomplish with these panels behind me, it's a part of a bigger exhibition which commemorates the 40 years of Sikh Genocide. The genocide started right after Indian independence. It just was brought to our attention by the who I would consider the hero of this movement, Sant Gyani Jarnail Singh Ji Khalsa Pindranwale. He had the courage to call the spade a spade, and he brought to our attention back then, 40 years ago, that Sikhs are being treated as second-class citizens in India. We want to remain a part and parcel of India, but only as equal citizens. We have contributed more than 90 heads as a sacrifice to bring independence to India from British. But why are we being treated the way we are being treated? That was his question to the Indian government. And the terror which was unleashed in response to seeking those rights by the Sikhs, under the leadership of Sant Gyani Jarnail Singh Ji, together with the Shromani Akali Dal of that time, and the Sikh masses worldwide, it had been crushed so ruthlessly that 40 years have gone by, we are still dealing with the repercussions. The only problem is that we are scared to talk about them, to speak about them, to share our stories of the pain and suffering which we went through as a Qawm, as a nation. We have failed to recognize the fact that we are a nation without a state. And in order to survive, in order to come out successful in today's society, we have to claim our rightful share. Our land, our Punjab, has to be independent again. And without that, our survival cannot be ensured. And this exhibition, while some of the panels bring forward the atrocities committed in Amritsar, it also brings to light the atrocities committed in Punjab, in the rural areas. The panel behind me is of the atrocities committed by the Indian government in trying to suppress an armed uprising of the Sikhs in response to that trauma which they experienced when 100,000 Indian soldiers brought this reign of terror to Punjab. What we also have as a part of this exhibit is what happened in November 1984. And we have pictures from that event, and we also have tried to bring forth what the Sikh nation is going through right now in form of transnational repression. We need to bring an end to this, and it's my personal opinion that the only way to end this is the Sikh Qawm having a home of its own, we claiming the full rights, complete independence of Punjab, ending occupation of Punjab, seeking full, complete independence of Punjab from India. Thank you so much. This would not be we usually need a tent about 40 feet by 20 feet to set this up. And there's hardly any room along the walls of that tent when we set this exhibition up. We are willing to take it free of cost to any place in Canada or in the United States. And perhaps in the next year or so, we will be able to travel with this exhibit even to Europe and Australia and perhaps the UK too. Not right now, but we are making plans to set this up in such a way that sanu safar karna ede naal hawai jahaz ch sanu sokha ho jawe. So ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਐਗਜ਼ੀਬਿਸ਼ਨ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਨੇੜੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਲਵਾਉਣਾ ਹੋਵੇ, ਹੁਣ ਅਗਲਾ ਵੀਕਐਂਡ ਜਿਹੜਾ 7, 8, 9 ਨੂੰ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਗੋ ਚੱਲੇ, ਸ਼ਿਕਾਗੋ 'ਚ ਐਗਜ਼ੀਬਿਸ਼ਨ ਲੱਗਣੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਕਿਤੇ ਲੱਗਣੀ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਇੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਵਨ ਸਿੰਘ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ we should try to set this up at the Virginia ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ in Fairfax, but we'll certainly come back. ਅਸੀਂ ਆਵਾਂਗੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ। I think ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਇਹਦੀ ਸਟੋਰੀ ਦਾ ਜੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਵਾਪਰੀ ਹੈ, ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦੀ ਨਸਲਕੁਸ਼ੀ ਦੀ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਦਾ ਟਾਈਟਲ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ। ਪਤਾ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਵੀ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਾਪਰੀ ਸੀ, ਪਤਾ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਸਮਝ ਸਕੇ, if we fail to recognize this, it will happen again. It's bound to happen again. We need to stop it from happening before it occurs again. We're not doing this just for the sake of rhetoric. It's a matter of our survival. So, ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੁੱਛ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ, ਤੇ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਅਗਲਾ ਸੈਸ਼ਨ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਨਾ ਤਾਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦਈਏ ਹੁਣ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Today's program, I would like to go ahead and thank everyone once again for being here, because this is truly a selfless service that all of you are doing by giving audience to the organizers of this program, for those who have driven all the way from California to make this possible, to make it happen here. And they are doing this as a service to the community, as service to humanity, because as we have said earlier, these genocides must be recognized. Awareness must be raised about these issues, because it's really important for us to recognize the genocides of the past so the future ones could be prevented. As we continue the program, I would like to request our special guest, Badi Swaranjit Singh, who is an elected city council member from the city of Norwich, Connecticut, to be here among us. He has done numerous tasks in the state of Connecticut in helping recognize the Sikh Genocide of 1984. Help me welcome Swaranjit Singh Khalsa from Connecticut.
जी आओ सारे सब तो पहले फतेह दी समझ पाइए वाहेगुरु जी का खालसा वाहेगुरु जी की फतेह. Is it okay if I continue in English and Punjabi?
Absolutely. We appreciate it.
So, first of all, I just want to thank Sikh Assembly of America for taking this initiative. I think Sikh Sangat was craving this kind of opportunity. Craving that when we will get a chance to tell the world our history in our narrative, which is very important, especially in this place, jithe sari duniya di politics chaldi hai. Especially the place which is the hub of world politics. So today we are finally here. We are here to tell the world what happened to us in 1984, what happened to us in 1990s, what is happening to us right now in America as well as in Sikh homeland Punjab. So far, I am very proud that with the help of all the Sikh community members, we were able to do a lot of things in state of Connecticut. State of Connecticut is the only state in America that has recognized Sikh genocide by passing the legislation and calling November 1st as a Sikh Genocide Remembrance Day. And that was the bill passed in House, passed in Senate, and signed by the governor of the state of Connecticut. I think it's a very big achievement for all of our community. The reason why we need to do this, there are multiple reasons. One of the reasons is we all are here now. ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਤੋਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੋ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੋਇਆ ਜ਼ਬਰ ਜ਼ੁਲਮ, ਪਰ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਗਏ ਹਾਂ, ਅੱਗੋਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਪੀੜ੍ਹੀ ਹੈ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੇਗਾ why we are even here. So it is important that we acknowledge our history the way it happened. And we must emphasize on that local legislator also recognize that history. Even though there is no doubt, US know what's happening in Punjab, US know what's happening happening to Sikhs in Canada, what has happened to Sikhs in America. They all know everything. But it is important to get these acknowledgements from time to time so we can emphasize that these things don't happen again. State of Connecticut is the only state also which has recognized month of June as a Sikh Memorial Month. I would like to get opportunity from you to read the official statement of Governor Ned Lamont, who is also our present governor. 5 years ago, when we all commemorated 35th anniversary of the massacre, when Darbar Sahib was attacked by the Indian government through Indian Army, the official statement was issued to recognize Shaheed Singhs of 1984 and to recognize month of June as a Sikh Memorial Month and June 1st as a Sikh Memorial Day. On that day, when we did that commemoration, we not just got official statement of governor, but the local library installed the picture of Sant Jarnail Singh Khalsa Pendramwale, the artwork created by the Smesh Art from Punjab, and they put up a plaque recognizing Sikh genocide. That's the same plaque we have here. Also, I want to share, transnational repression is not something new. We are facing it since day one. We are working with the state of Connecticut. When in 2018, state passed the law to recognize Sikh genocide, Indian Consulate of New York went to the governor's office, wanted him not to sign the bill. I see that direct interference of Indian government in our local legislation and in our democracy. So this is transnational repression that we have faced. Then in 2019, when we were commemorating 35th anniversary of attack on Darbar Sahib, again when the library installed the portrait and the plaque with the Sikh flag, Indian consulate showed up again. They threatened our local library to remove these artifacts. The reason, they said, it represents terrorism. And even though library was very much in favor of Sikh community, but the board decided to remove those artifacts. But I'll tell you, we didn't lose. That was our win. Because when the library director was giving me the plaque, his eyes were filled up of water. He was crying too. Not just the Sikh community, we were actually shocked. How can it happen to something like this happen in the free country like America? But this is transnational repression as well. When there is so much influence of foreign government that is happening. But I will actually read you the proclamation because it has a lot of sentiments were conveyed that we all carry in our heart on a daily basis. Some of the highlights of the official statement are, they said Sant Jarnail Singh Khalsa Pindramwale was civil rights activist. He was leading a movement, peaceful movement. The other highlight is that 80% of the Sikh population still live in Indian occupied Punjab. And this is the sentiment we all carry. Because Punjab has been used as a colony of India. And there is no doubt about it. So these things got acknowledged. I'm just going to read it quickly, just for the purpose of record, and all our channels are also here. I also want to acknowledge DJ who's here, and he's trying to make a documentary on transnational repression as well. And they covered our recent events in Sikh Art Gallery. And here's another thing, Sikh Art Gallery. Why we had to make that? Why we have to spend all the resources to create something of our own? Because of transnational repression. It is a product of transnational repression. When we thought our history is not even safe in our local public libraries, and we have to create something of our own which is permanent, which is open to public all the time, and people can come, visit, learn about Sikh history, learn about Sikh struggle, learn about what Khalistan is, learn about why Sikhs are even struggling for the Khalistan, and what was the movement in the past. So I'm quickly going to read that for you. This is official statement, State of Connecticut, by His Excellency Ned Lamont, Governor, an official statement. Whereas Sikhism is fifth largest independent ethnic religion founded by Guru Nanak in 1469 in the Punjab region of South Asia. There are over 30 million followers worldwide known as Sikhs, and 700 living in the United States of America. Many Sikhs have called America their home since the late 19th century. Sikhs can be found in diverse professions including service in law enforcement and US Armed Forces with their articles of faith. And whereas June 2019 marked the 35th commemoration of invasion of Harmandir Sahib, and in the bracket it says Golden Temple, and 36 other gurdwaras all over India by the Indian Army, which claimed the lives of thousands of Sikh worshippers on one of their holiest day during the year. This year also marks 35th commemoration of November 1984 Sikh Genocide. And whereas Sikhs were shot while their hands were tied behind their backs, Sikhs political authority Akal Takht was attacked with tanks, bullets, and shot at the Sikh scriptures, and Sikh reference library was burned and artifacts were looted. And whereas eyewitnesses, journalists, and human rights activists have compiled evidence showing that Indian Army took this illegal action in violation of Geneva Conventions and carried pre-planned attack on orders of Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi to end Sikhs civil rights movement led by Sant Jarnail Singh Khalsa Pindramwale. And whereas still 80% of Sikh population live in Indian occupied Punjab and want to exercise their right for self-determination under United Nations guidelines. And whereas individuals and organizations throughout the world, recognizing the need for justice, continue to demand prosecution of those responsible for June 1984 massacre and November 1984 Sikh genocide. Now, therefore, I, Ned Lamont, Governor of the state of Connecticut, do hereby proclaim June 2019 as Sikh Memorial Month in the state of Connecticut, signed by the Governor, Ned Lamont, with the stamp of state of Connecticut. So, this shows we can do it. This shows education is a very important tool. This shows if our youngsters come forward and try to educate legislators, we can get these kind of acknowledgements. Now, why these acknowledgements are important again? First is we are remembering our history in our narrative. Our next generation get opportunity to know what happened. But the most important thing, without acknowledgement, how can the community get closure? Even after coming to America, we have no closure because United States need to acknowledge the Sikh genocide. We are thankful to United States. They have given us asylum. They have given us life of dignity. But now it's the time that we have spent over 100 years in this country. We want legislators to acknowledge our history. And we want them to go even one step further, make sure this history become part of the curriculum. So every American get opportunity to get educated, who Sikhs are, where they're from, what happened to them, what struggles they have. I think this is the way to move forward. And I again thank all of you for being here, and especially Pawan Paji, Simarjot Paji, who worked hard, our guest who came here with this amazing exhibition. I think it's great. This also shows, despite of less in number, we have that thing in our heart that we want to do something. And I think we have come to the point that now we are in the state, in US Capitol. And we are giving this opportunity to our local congressmen, US senators, and we also have a few meetings after that because I think it's a big deal. So thank you again for all being here. I hope with your help and support we can continue these kind of efforts. Also, please look at the model that we have created in Lego of Akal Takht Sahib and Darbar Sahib. The reason we created in Lego was, if you make something with Lego, small blocks, and kids know better, it takes time, it takes patience. If something takes 18 hours for a small model like this to be made, and somebody else come and crush it, how will you feel about it? And this is the sentiment we want our legislator to know. What can you even imagine what will be the emotions of the Sikh community when helicopters and tanks bombarded our holiest shrine? So this is the message we are here. We are trying to convey our sentiments. And we hope that in upcoming time, June 1984 will be acknowledged by the US legislators, and November will be recognized as a Sikh Genocide Remembrance Day. Thank you very much. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thank you, Swaranjit Singh, for driving all the way from Connecticut today. It takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of courage to take time out of our busy schedules and be here on a weekday in the middle of the day. We do have one last speaker before we ask Simarjot Singh to give the closing remarks here in a few minutes. We have someone special, one of our own. She's a full-time student at the University of Virginia. She is the daughter of someone who spent his childhood at the Darbar Sahib complex. He was raised playing with many of the shaheeds whose pictures, photographs you see here today. He's someone who tells us stories of what life was like before June 1st, 1984. Our daughter, who sits on the Appropriations and Economics team at the office of Senator Ben Cardin, please help me welcome Ganeev Kaur.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. To start, I apologize for the short length of my speech, as there are many restrictions on what I can say today. My name is Ganeev Kaur, a first-generation Sikh American and one of few Sikh Americans privileged to work alongside Congress. Today, as we gather to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the 1984 Sikh Genocide in India, we are reminded not only of the pain and suffering endured by the Sikh community, but also of the enduring struggle for justice and human rights worldwide. In the halls of Congress, there is power to enact change that resides. We carry the responsibility to stand up for those whose voices have been silenced and whose rights have been trampled upon. It is within these walls that we must amplify the cries for justice, holding perpetrators of atrocities accountable and championing the cause of the oppressed. But this mandate does not stop at our nation's borders. We must also confront the pressing issues of our time, including the ongoing conflicts in Palestine, Israel, Sudan, Ukraine, and many more. The violence and loss of innocent lives serve as a stark reminder of the urgent need for diplomacy, compassion, and a steadfast commitment to peace. As we navigate the complexities of history and challenges of the present, we must harness the power of our collective voice. It is a voice that reverberates beyond these chambers, resonating with the hopes and aspirations of people around the world. It is a voice that demands accountability, compassion, and respect for human dignity. As someone who recognizes and has seen the powers of Congress firsthand, I am acutely aware of the weight of their responsibility and the power of their actions. But I also recognize the importance of listening and amplifying the voice of citizens, and especially youth, the leaders of tomorrow. Youth who refuse to accept the status quo and demand a more just and equitable world. So let us stand together in solidarity, united to our commitment to justice, peace, and human dignity. Let us use the power of Congress to advocate for those who cannot advocate for themselves. And let us never waver in our pursuit for a better world. Thank you.
Although these halls of Congress are not new to the Sikh community, Sikhs have been the pioneers in all aspects of life. And when it comes to being the first Asian, being the first South Asian, and being the first Sikh, Dalip Singh Sawant was the first congressman to walk these halls of Congress in the 50s. But what took us so long to recognize where the power resides? To a certain degree, we could blame the Indian government for giving us all the trauma and the aftermath of the trauma. Because whenever we say a violent incident, this is not an incident. This is an ongoing story. This is still going on today as we speak. So the trauma is generational. It continues from one generation to the next. And that's the same trauma that we feel here, that the parents came from Punjab and they had to deal with the trauma of building their new lives in the US, helping support brothers and sisters back home, and then raising a future generation that is so disconnected from the trauma, yet they carry it within their arteries and veins. So this is a multi-layered problem. As we come to the new world, as we call America home, but there are moments that are heartwarming. One of those moments is when Ganeev Kaur spoke here. One of those moments is when Amrit Kaur Mann came as an observer. She's working with the senator's office. So our steps, although they might be tiny, we're taking them in the right direction. We are reaching out to other communities that have suffered at the hands of the Indian government. And I would like to thank each one of you, although not being Sikhs, you have taken the time out to lend us your voice. As we bring closure to today's event, I would like to tell you a little bit about what Sikh Assembly of America is and who we are. On March 17, 2023, the news spread like wildfire that 80,000 paramilitary troops have been moved into Punjab to capture Amritpal Singh. Upon reading the headline, one really questions themselves whether it's present or are we talking about the 80s? Is this 1984 all over again? I thought that was almost 40 years ago. Nothing has changed. The apathy, the denial of justice. So in order to vent our anger, in order to give a proper avenue to those feelings, a few of us got together and said we will go ahead and start full-time lobbying at Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. to give our community a voice. The Indian government comes and commits atrocities, and in the age of social media, we put very passionate words there denouncing what they do, and then a couple of weeks later, life goes on. But the Sikh Assembly of America made a difference that we got it documented. We had the language put in the appropriations bill in 2023 that the world is watching what's going on in Punjab. We will not let our 250,000 people get disappeared just like that again. So that's Sikh Assembly of America. There's 3 of us directors who all share equal power. Bhai Swaranjit Singh, myself, and Simarjot Singh. So as we all thank you, all of you, for your time and every single dollar that you have sent our way in donations, we're truly grateful. I would like to invite Simarjot Singh to the podium so he could deliver the closing remarks for today. And then if you still have any more questions, Dr. Chima will be here among us. And then if you would like to share your experience with your fellow members of the Sikh community or our special guests, Peter Friedrich is here, Father Neil Christie is here. So let's talk how we could work together and bring closure to those who continue to live within the political boundaries of India, be it the widows living in the widow colony. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? That to put all the widows together and called it the widow colony? What does that woman go through on a daily basis when people ask her, where does she live? We all say, we live in so-and-so gated community. We live in a gated community with a golf course. We live in so-and-so zip code. And they have to tell that they live at the widow colony? That's a shameful act in itself on behalf of the Indian government. For not only torturing and killing their people, their family members in 1984 and the years thereafter, but to continue to torture them. The tormentation. Enough is enough. Let's all work together and let's all get justice to the victims of the 1984 genocide and all the others committed at the hands of the Indian government. Help me welcome Simarjot Singh.
ਗੁਰੂ ਪਿਆਰੀ ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਮੁਕੱਦਸ ਫਤਿਹ ਬੁਲੰਦ ਕਰੀਏ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਗਗਨ ਦਮਾਮਾ ਬਾਜਿਓ, ਪਰਿਓ ਨਿਸ਼ਾਨੇ ਖਾਓ, ਖੇਤ ਜਮਾਡਿਓ ਸੂਰਮਾ, ਅਬ ਜੂਜਨ ਕੋ ਦਾਓ, ਸੂਰਾ ਸੋਹ ਪਹਿਚਾਨੀਐ, ਜੋ ਲੜੇ ਦੀਨ ਕੇ ਹੇਤ, ਪੁਰਜਾ ਪੁਰਜਾ ਘੱਟ ਮਰੈ, ਕਬੂ ਨਾ ਛੱਡੈ ਖੇਤ। ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਸ਼ਹੀਦਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਣਾਮ ਕਰਨ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੋ ਜੂਨ 1984 ਦੇ ਘੱਲੂਘਾਰੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਹੋਏ। ਪਰ ਸਿਰਫ ਜੂਨ 1984 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਹੋਏ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਯਾਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ। ਪਿਛਲੇ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ 40 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਇੰਨੀਆਂ ਬੇਇਨਸਾਫੀਆਂ ਹੋ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ। I want to tell you a little bit about the word insanity. The definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It's been 40 years, almost half a century, and we keep asking for justice. Justice delayed is justice denied. 40 saal ho gaye. Are we insane? We keep asking for justice. In the year 2000, there's the Chitty Singpura massacre. Right? This is 15 years after 1984 Sikh Genocide. 35 Sikhs are killed in the city of Chitty Singpura in Kashmir. 10 years later, in 2010, we hear about new instances in Punjab with new governments coming into power. Fast forward 2023, me and Pawan Singh were talking about 80,000 troops being mobilized in Punjab. Fast forward another couple months, we have a Sikh preacher, Hardeep Singh Nijjar, gunned down, killed in Surrey. Fast forward another couple months, we have a US citizen targeted, caught red-handed by the FBI, by US authorities, Indian government trying to murder him. So are we insane? We keep asking for justice? No, we're not. Okay? So today, I want to thank everybody who is coming out today. I want to thank Dr. Chima and his whole entire team. I want to thank Sikh Assembly, Bhai Swaranjit Singh ji, Bhai Pawan Singh ji, coming together to realize that no, we are not insane. We are going to make a difference. We are not going to stop. Exhibitions like this, ਇਹ ਅੱਜ ਪਹਿਲੀ exhibition ਹੋਈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਪੂਰੇ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੱਲੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਗਲੇ ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਐਗਜ਼ੀਬਿਸ਼ਨ ਲੱਗੀ। 1984 ਨਵੰਬਰ ਜਨਵਰੀ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਦਸੰਬਰ ਤੱਕ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਹਾਦਸੇ ਹੋਏ ਆ, ਕੱਲਾ ਇੱਕ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਇਆ। We have a poster right there that says 5,000, over 5,000 people disappeared. If we take one day to remember one person, a year will not cover that. So if we get started and we do exhibitions like this, we can start raising awareness in our local communities, in our gurdwaras, in our local governments, right? In the congressional level, at the Senate level, hopefully in the future at the White House, State Department, Homeland Security. Then we've got to be a one of the demands Sikh Assembly has is that the Sikh nation has its own foreign policy. So we can talk to the United States government as our own government, as a separate entity, the Sikh nation. And this is the goals of the Sikh Assembly. This is the goals that me, Swaranjit Bhai, and Pawan Singh are working towards. But एक चीज मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि ऐसी पागल नहीं है। एक चीज मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि साडा अंत एक कोई हो सकता है, फतेह या शहीद। And here बेनती है प्रवान करने की
As we have wrapped up today's official event, we do have one more reading left, which was an official citation passed in the General Assembly of the State of Connecticut. It has the names of those who introduced the representatives and the senators, and this is what it reads. Be it hereby known to all that the Connecticut General Assembly offers its sincerest congratulations to the World Sikh Parliament in recognition of the 36th anniversary of the Declaration of Sikh Independence. We join with you, your friends and family, in commemorating the historic resolution passed on April 29, 1986 by the collective Sikh nation gathering known as Sarbat Khalsa at Sikh's political center, Akal Takht, situated in the holy city of Amritsar, Punjab. The entire membership extends its very best wishes to this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success. The world is ready, but the question is, are we? Are we as the Sikh community, are we ready to take control of our own destiny? And this is a question that I'm going to leave unanswered, and this is for all of us to answer ourselves. The world is ready, People are recognizing us as a nation. Are we? Would there be a change in our behavior after today's event? Do we start thinking differently? Do we start behaving differently? Do we start treating each other differently? And even if one soul says, yes, we will be different, I would consider today's event a success. Thank you so very much. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
My name is Manmeet Singh, and this is June 6, 2024. We're gathered here at the U.S. House of Representatives to commemorate the massacre of 1984. It has been 40 years since this massacre, and the community worldwide still remembers the trauma. This is not just a memorial service, but it is a call for action also. So as we, and what kind of action is really important? The action to preserve the memory, to document the stories, to tell the world, both the West and the East, all the way from Punjab to the rest of India and over here in the US as to what happened to the Sikhs. It is a great tragedy, not only just for the Sikhs in Punjab, but also for all of South Asia, what happened in 1984. If you look at and strip away all the different noises that have come over time, it really comes down to the basic human rights for all people. That is what we are asking. That's what the struggle has been for. Against casteism, against this discrimination that plagues the Dalits, that plagues the women, plagues minorities, Sikhs, Christians, it doesn't matter which state. So our pursuit right now is to have a fair and a just society. That is what's driving all of this. Also, I would like to say that if you look at the political landscape, some of the changes in the last election that just happened a few days ago, you're also seeing that perhaps people have this fatigue of right-wing Hindutva that has plagued India for the last few years. It was never like this. So we are hoping that the new India comes out better than what it was even for us in 1984. But that does not give you a pass. We still need to hold those people accountable, get justice for the victims, for the people who survived. We want to preserve their memories, and that is what we're gathered here to discuss and share.